Welcome to Community Insight, a public affairs presentation of 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Welcome to Community Insight. I'm Ann Ray, and my guest today is Len Proper. He is Executive Director of the Military Veterans Resource Center. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ann. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I guess maybe we should start out with a very basic question. What's the Military Veterans Resource Center?
Military Veterans Resource Center is a nonprofit based in Columbus that provides personalized career services for veterans and their families.
How long has there been a Military Veterans Resource Center?
We opened for business on Pearl Harbor Day of 2000, so it's December 7th of 2000.
And how long have you been with the organization now?
I'm the founder, so I've been from the beginning.
Well, tell me how this came to be. If you are the founder, then I'm sure there's a story to tell.
I was actually the Director of Workforce Development for the Ohio Bureau of Employment Services, and we were watching the programs that were being funded by the federal government just every year just keep getting cut more and more and more. And we saw a real need for these career services to continue being provided to veterans, but no one was providing them. And so I just decided to leave government employment and get some funding and start this organization.
Well, that's a pretty ambitious thing to take on.
Probably did not think this through well enough in the beginning. It was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, but we have helped so many vets over the years. We've helped over 7,000 vets, so it really is a labor of love.
Well, this resource center, is this just for Columbus? Is this for how far out do you reach?
We are based in Columbus, but we have centers in 6 cities throughout the state. We right now are really committing ourselves just to the state of Ohio, but we're in the Dayton area, the Cincinnati area, Springfield, Chillicothe, and Findlay. And we're over the course of the next year or so, we'll open in other locations in Ohio.
And where are you located here in Columbus?
We're at 1395 East Dublin Granville Road. So we're just east of where 161 and 71 cross.
All right, so pretty well located, pretty easy to find. Well, now you've started to explain this, but let's get a little bit more detail about what your mission is, what you hope to accomplish, and this would be a good spot too to share some of your hopes and dreams. So.
Okay, sure. Well, our mission is to provide personalized career services for veterans who served honorably. That personalized is real important. Every veteran understands, the concept of battle buddies, that you never go on a mission by yourself. There's always someone with you. When you come into Military Veterans Resource Center, you become assigned to a coach, and that coach will be with you every step of the way until you say, I'm okay now, I don't need any more help. So our focus is on the career services. The unemployment rate for veterans is a lot higher than the government says it is, and the government says it's high. For example, in Ohio, the unemployment rate, the overall unemployment rate's a little over 6%. The unemployment rate reported unemployment rate for veterans is about 11%. The actual unemployment rate is closer to about 15 or 16%. And that's just for an average veteran. For veterans who are young veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan who are under the age of 30, the unemployment rate is over 20%. And when you think about that, during the Great Depression, the national unemployment rate was 20%. That's how bad it is for our young men and women who have served.
And why do you suppose that is? I'm sure you've got some at least opinions on that.
Well, this really gets kind of to the heart of what kind of an organization we are. We choose to believe that the problem more than anything is a communication problem. Only about 1% of the U.S. population serve in the military. Only about 7% of the population are veterans, much lower than in previous generations coming out of World War II or Korea or Vietnam. And so you have an awful lot of people who are involved in hiring for their companies who have no idea what kind of skills a veteran brings. They watch the news or the movies, and every veteran is firing a rifle, or every soldier is firing a rifle or driving a tank or flying a helicopter, when the reality is about 70% of military personnel serve in support occupations that are very much like civilian jobs. If you go into any large military base, you're going to find doctors and lawyers and cooks and mail personnel and janitors and computer technicians, just like you would in the civilian world. So these veterans are coming home with the skills, but the employers don't understand what those skills are. And then the other part from the veteran side is that, while they're in the military, they're accustomed to being very rigid, yes sir, no sir, and being very formal. And very often employers tell us that kind of like turns them off in an interview because they don't think that they're going to fit into the culture of their organization. So on the one hand, we're educating employers on the skills that veterans really bring. And on the other hand, we're helping veterans understand what it is that employers are looking for. And then we act as sort of a broker to bring them together.
Let me get this straight. So the politeness and respect that a military veteran brings actually gets in their way when they're that
That's
trying
true.
to get employed. That blows my mind.
We've been told that interviewers don't like it when someone is just sitting there at attention saying yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That they like to see them relax a little bit. So they get a sense of whether or not they would fit in the culture of the company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think it would be helpful. You've sort of touched on a few of these things, but let's go into some detail about what services and assistance you do provide to veterans.
Okay, sure. Our core is to provide career services. So all the traditional things of career assessment testing and training and helping with resumes and interviewing, how to dress for success. But one of the things that we recognize is that veterans, just like anyone else, often face barriers to employment that are outside of the realm of resumes or interviewing skills. In fact, veterans often bring home some other barriers, that they bring back from war, PTSD, physical or mental wounds. And what we try to do then is take sort of a holistic approach to working with a veteran. So we do, when a veteran comes in, we try to identify not only what are the employment issues, but what are the other issues that get in the way. It might be transportation, housing, family issues, legal issues, whatever it is. We try to help that veteran identify what the barriers are. Then what we try to do is help the veteran access resources in the community, either through us or through other organizations that can help them overcome those barriers, with a goal of eventually of having a veteran be able to stand on his or her own feet and be self-reliant.
Well, Len, I'm going to put you on the spot, so be prepared here.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you've got a success story you can share with folks.
We do. We have a veteran who came to us from the state of Florida, and he was a heavy equipment mechanic in the Army, and he went home to Florida, and he went almost 10 years just going from job to job,
Wow.
could not get back into the field that he loved. He came to Columbus just looking for opportunities and met with us. We did the outreach to the employer. We got him the tools that he needed to get started, and he started as a mechanic with the company. The company was so impressed with him that they left him with a fleet of about a dozen their corporate headquarters, their main trucking fleet down in Kentucky. And he says that in 2 months with us than he did in 10 years in Florida. Just feel good.
Yeah, those kind of stories are the ones we want to hear about. So feel free to share any more that come to mind, because
Okay, sure.
because that really does help us give you a picture of what you're doing at the Military Veterans Resource Center. You're listening to Community Insight, by the way. I'm Ann Ray, and my guest is Len Proper. He is Executive Director of Military Veterans Resource Center. They're at 1395 East Dublin Granville Road here in Columbus. But tell us again where your other locations are right now.
We're in Chillicothe, the Cincinnati area, Dayton, Springfield, and Findlay.
All right. And a growing organization, to be sure. You can reach them at 614-230-0662, 230-0662, or at milvetsrc.org. That's MILVETSRC.org. And certainly we'll be giving that contact information before the show's over again, but I wanted to give it now and then give people an opportunity perhaps to get a piece of paper and pencil or pull over or whatever it is that they need to do so that they can get more information. Well, you've talked a little bit about some of the common barriers to employment that veterans struggle to overcome. Are there any more of those that we ought to know about, or did we pretty well cover that?
Well, those are a lot of the issues that veterans face. We want a veteran to be able to eventually get a job, but sometimes there are things that just get in the way. For example, we had a veteran come in and he said, "I need a resume." And so we started interviewing him and talking to him and everything, and we found out, that something just seemed to miss. And so we got him to open up a little bit and found that because of his PTSD, that his wife had just left him and taken his 4 children. And so we quickly realized that the issue here that he needed help with was not a resume. What he needed help with was getting control of his PTSD so that he could get his family back together. And so those are the kinds of issues that a lot of times our veterans will come back with. And a lot of veterans, you're taught in the military to be stoic.
Mm-hmm.
You just you don't feel pain, and so you try to hold that stuff in. And then sometimes it just pops out, and a lot of veterans right now. I mean, you hear on the news all the troubles with the VA and other parts of the country. A lot of veterans won't go to the VA, and they'll use drugs or they'll use alcohol and they'll self-medicate, to deal with the pain that they're feeling, rather than get the help. Well, when they come to us. What we're going to try to do is say, okay, if you won't go to the VA, let's find an alternative source. Let's make sure you get the help you need, because that's the first step, is to help you heal.
All right. Well, that's certainly one reason that makes your organization different from other ones that are helping veterans. But there are other organizations out there that do try to help veterans. So help us understand what you do that's different than what other organizations do.
Well, the two things that really make us different, one is the fact that we are very personalized. What I mentioned about having a battle buddy as you go through the unemployment and working toward employment, and making sure there's someone there with you who you can trust. We're not going to give you a coach today and give you a different coach tomorrow and another coach next week. Your coach is going to be someone who you can call anytime you need to, and who's going to be with you every step of the way. That's very uncommon, particularly in large, social service organizations. It's going to be whoever happens to be on duty is going to be the person who's going to get the assignment to help you. And then again, the other thing that we look at is the fact that we are very holistic in our view, and that we want to identify the barriers. What's getting in the way of your happiness and success? Now, let's help you identify those barriers, overcome those barriers. Now, a lot of organizations actually send their veterans to us because they can't address those issues.
Well, in fact, I was going to ask you what groups and employers you do work with to help the veterans.
We, on the social service side, we'll work with just about any organization that wants to help vets. And so we do work with a lot of the government organizations, the Department of Job and Family Services, the Department of Veterans Services, our local Veterans Service Commission. We work with the VA, but we also work with private healthcare organizations. We work with employers. We have partnerships, for example, with Ohio Health and Cardinal Health and AEP and Nationwide, because what we want to do is help employers understand that here you have employers very large, hiring lots of people. We want them to understand that veterans come with the skills and the work ethic and the commitment and the dedication that they're looking for.